The Maleficent franchise is a strange one, with the first two movies released 5 years apart. With the two movies changing the narrative quite a lot, the villain became the hero in the second movie, a shift of scenery for a character that we don't see very often, and the mixed reviews of the sequel pose the question whether there will be a third movie sometime soon. Thus, today we're going to take a first look into things and tell you everything we know so far, how the second movie sets up another sequel, will Angelina Jolie be back as the hero, as the villain, and even what the story could be for the third movie. As we said before, the sequel, Maleficent Mistress of Evil, hasn't been a huge box office success, so the question that needs answering right now is whether there will be a third movie. Based on the famous Sleeping Beauty tale, the franchise put Angelina Jolie in the role of the titular character, with the first movie making its debut back in 2014 and the second movie released in October 2019. The first movie was a huge success as it managed to make a very good live-action adaptation, a dark fantasy take on Walt Disney's most prized possessions, with the movie itself making around $758 million at the box office with a budget of only $180 million, and because of that, it came as not a surprise that Disney wanted to make another movie, which came 5 years later, a sequel that put Aurora and Maleficent against their greatest challenge yet, Queen Ingrid of Ulstead, a movie which established the groundwork for future installments of the franchise. However, the not-so-good reviews set the entire franchise a little further back. The second movie picks up 5 years after the death of King Stephen, the father of Aurora, who now rules as Queen of the Moors. The movie presents to us the conflict between Maleficent and the power-hungry Queen Ingrid, with the movie introducing a subplot about Maleficent's dark fae ancestry, which is bad news for the Queen of Ulstead.
You have done an admirable job, Maleficent, going against your own nature to raise this child.
Before we move forward, we should warn you that there will be very detailed spoilers as we're explaining the ending of the second movie, which sets up a third movie. An ending we will go into detail to let you know what kind of a take Walt Disney might continue with. It came as no surprise that Queen Ingrid is the full-blown villain of the movie, the one who places a sleeping curse on her husband King John for the sole purpose of turning Aurora against Maleficent. The basics of Queen Ingrid's plans are conjured by the poison she's making together with engineer Gerda from tomb blooms, flowers that grow on fair graves at the moors, a poison that will wipe all the magical creatures from the moors. The stage is set by the wedding between her son Prince Philip and Aurora when Queen Ingrid brings all the creatures of the moors into the church, locking them up and letting Gerda release the poison. This is also the time when Maleficent steps in and sacrifices herself during the battle to save Aurora from an arrow before rising again as a phoenix, saving Aurora yet again, as she's thrown off her tower by Queen Ingrid. As with almost every fairy tale ever, this one also has a happy ending as Aurora and Prince Philip get married, uniting the kingdom of Ulstead and the Moors, with Maleficent turning Queen Ingrid into a goat when she's captured by the dark fae Bora. A happy ending we all deserve, but also yet another reason for a third movie to be made, a movie that would eventually manufacture some tension from somewhere. And yes, there are not lingering plot threads out there for a potential movie, but there weren't any in the first movie. And look where the franchise is right now.
Philip,
Yes,
do you love my daughter?
with everything I have.
There's no official word about a third movie of the franchise being given the green light, which may very well be due to the box office take of the second movie, which, as we said before, was nothing special when compared to the first movie, but also the COVID-19 pandemic taking over shortly after the second movie release that happened on the 18th of October 2019, and chain of events sending the movie industry in disarray. However, knowing that $500 million at the box office is nothing to be overlooked, we still think that a third movie is still in the cards. It's only a matter of time. A time that is of the essence when it comes to the fans of the franchise. Thus, for a possible third movie, we should keep in mind that because of the pandemic, all the processes in making a movie are taking even more time, even without any complications happening on set. So, if we take everything into consideration and the fact that the first two movies were released 5 years apart, we shouldn't be expecting the third Maleficent movie until 2024 at the earliest, especially since the movie itself hasn't been confirmed yet.
We all saw what Maleficent did to him. I'm so sorry.
Considering that the franchise itself is titled Maleficent, it's more than given that Angelina Jolie would be returning to reprise her role in the third movie as well, with both Elle Fanning and Harris Dickinson almost guaranteed to be back as Aurora and Prince Philip respectively, seeing how they're still very much alive by the end of the second movie, living in the typical happy fairy tale ending, maybe not for long, however, we never know what can come of it. Sam Riley's Diaval, Maleficent's loyal raven human companion, will probably be around for the possible third movie as well, and since Maleficent is getting more and more involved with her dark fae background in the sequel, we wouldn't be surprised to see the return of Bora, with Ed Skrein reprising his role. The unlikely thing to happen would be the return of the fairy trio Imelda Staunton's Knotgrass, Juno Temple's Thistlewit, and Lesley Manville's Flittle, who are now a fairy duo since Flittle sacrificed herself in the sequel. One interesting detail about the cast that we all ought to know is whether Michelle Pfeiffer will be returning as Queen Ingrid, who, as we can recall, is not dead by the end of the second movie, but rather turned into livestock until further notice. And while a possible third movie would not go on with the same antagonist as the second movie, Queen Ingrid is still Aurora's mother-in-law, so because of that alone, she might get a lesser punishment for her crimes and have an impact in some other shape or form. Unfortunately, this is everything we know so far about the cast of a potential third movie, which will get bigger once the third movie is confirmed, bringing new cast members to the group.
Killing peasants on the moors will only lead to more conflict, Bora.
And while there aren't any details about the potential plot of the third movie, which is understandable knowing that the third movie is not even confirmed, we still have a lot to go on. Seeing how the second movie, Maleficent Mistress of Evil, does a lot of world building, effectively giving Maleficent 3 opportunity to go in any direction the people behind the scenes want. The heritage as a dark fae and the various magical people and creatures in the franchise opens the door for one wild fantasy when it comes to the plot of the potential upcoming movie. Thus, our educated guess suggests that the third movie might feature Maleficent facing a magical creature of equal or greater power, something that could potentially challenge her magic, a villain of sorts that would bring a lot to the table, a powerful foe that would bring all of the characters we know and love together to defeat it. The second movie ends with the premise that the powerful fae will make her return to the moors when Aurora and Philip have a child, which could mean that the third movie will tease us with a newborn. But this time, we might get another superpowered, angry fairy in designer clothes getting cursed nonetheless, and Maleficent being the one to clean up the mess together with the others. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below what are your thoughts on the franchise so far, and if you could change anything about it for the third movie, what would that be? But also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.